Good morning, everyone. What's going on, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're pulling the motor out of the blob eye so that way we can tear it apart and see what exactly is going on with this car. I do have a suspicious idea that it is the head over here on the driver's side. So if it is going to be the head, we're going to replace the valves, the valve springs, the retainers, everything that's just head included. If the short block is all right now we're going to reuse that short block if it is all right, but we won't know until we get the heads off the car. At minimum, we are going to be doing head studs in this car. We're going to be replacing head gaskets, all of that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, we might as well while it's out, right? So let me show you guys kind of the game plan here and what we're going to start doing. So as you guys remember, this was the state that we got the car to when we started it, and it started doing its weird ticking, knocking, all that fun stuff. So first up, radiator is going to have to be drained. I have a bucket down there to catch the coolant because I am going to be reusing that coolant because it's only been in the car for maybe a day and it's only had maybe 3 minutes to 10 minutes of running on it, so it'll be fine to reuse. Oil's going to have to get drained out of the car. Intercooler's coming off, intake coming out, radiator coming out, batteries coming out. We're going to strip it down. I'm probably going to pull the intake manifold off too, just to make life a little bit easier when it comes to pulling this thing out. But these motors are extremely easy to pull. So to pull this engine, obviously, top mount intercooler comes off. Undo the 2 engine mount nuts under the car. Loosen up the transmission mount to the subframe so that way you have a little bit more movement when pulling this thing out. Undo the pitch stop mount, and starter comes out, and then you can just start pulling out all the transmission bolts, and for the most part it'll separate. There is a small pin down there that locks the clutch fork in place, which locks the engine to the transmission. I'll show you guys where that is on this also. I think I showed you guys on the 17 STI also when I pulled that one, but I'm estimating I can probably get this motor pulled out in an hour and a half to 2 hours with draining all fluids, pulling the intake manifold off, all that good stuff. So let's just start getting into it. Let's get this thing drained and pulled. Update, so radiator's out, coolant's drained, air oil separator's out. It's just chilling over there in a octopus looking mess. I'm trying to get as much out of the way before I go to chain the engine hoist up to this. I am going to pull the intake manifold off just to get it a little bit easier to get the chains onto the block. It'll just give me a little bit more room to be able to do so. Still have to pull this power steering line off to be able to pull this guy out. We still got a ways to go. Downpipe has to come off, fuel line. So I'm gonna keep going, getting the intake. Once the intake manifold's off, I'm just gonna go down there, unbolt the downpipe from the turbo, get that off the car, and then we can just chain this thing out. So let me get back at it. Let me get this thing out. Let's get this engine out. Alright guys, so the motor is pretty much ready to be pulled at this point. I did a couple things off camera under the car that you guys wouldn't have seen. It was just going around and getting all of the transmission to motor mount bolts out, if you guys know what I'm saying. There were a couple of them missing, so right now we're ready to pull it. Some of you guys wanted a checklist. So a checklist, we'll just run through it real quick. You don't have to go to the extent of what I went to of completely stripping the motor down. I just wanted to do this to make it a little bit easier once it's on the stand to just start splitting everything open, getting into the motor. But step 1, radiator, obviously drain fluids, oil and coolant, pull the radiator out. Turbo, you don't have to take the turbo off, but at least get the downpipe off. Starter has to come out. You can leave like the intake manifold and all that stuff on if you want to, but starter has to come out. Then you can go around, start breaking all of the transmission to motor bolts free. Pitch stop has to come out. Well, it doesn't have to come out, but you have to at least take it off. Well, yeah, it's got to come out. Take out the pitch stop. Motor mounts need to be unbolted on both sides. You can leave the transmission bolted to the subframe if you want for now. Mine is unbolted just to make things a little bit easier. It'll be a lot easier for you too if you go to pull it out that way. But that's pretty much the basic rundown of this. So now that we have this guy completely stripped down, ready to be pulled, all that's left is holding the transmission to the motors, that one bolt up there, and then the clutch fork. So on STIs, I showed you guys this on the 17 STI, but right down there, there's a small plug. If I can get the light right there, you can see the little shiny metal holes right there. So in there is a fork, or it's a big long spoon, not a spoon, it's a big long bolt looking thing with a threaded end on it. So if you are going to get that out, you can use intake manifold bolts to pull that out. That like splined bolt in there is what holds the clutch fork to the throwout bearing, and you are not going to be able to get the engine off of the transmission with that still in there. So make sure you pull that out. Once I have it out, I'll show you guys what it looks like, but it's like this huge bolt looking thing. It's like yay long with a threaded portion on it. So let me get it out. I'll show you guys what it looks like, then we'll pull this motor. So we have our hoist hooked up to the engine now. I'm going off of one of the AC bolts and then one of the top mount intercooler bolts. That should hold just fine. I shouldn't have any issues with that. Now, before you go to pull your motor, make sure that everything is disconnected, but this is the bolt thing that I was talking about. So this giant shaft is what holds your clutch fork in place. There's a small threaded hole in the end of it behind the like T10 cap that we pulled off. Just thread one in there and you should be able to pull it right out. So as you can see, our case is already starting to split from our transmission. So I'm gonna grab a breaker bar, get in here, start pulling this thing out. We are fully disconnected. The motor should come out relatively nicely. It might need a little persuasion, but for the most part, we should be good. So let's get this thing out of here. Let's get it out of here. Bam, there is our motor. Look at it, it's free. It's a happy little motor. So I did get the clutch out of the car. That is gonna get replaced. I feel like I've done a lot of clutch replacements the past like couple months. I don't know. Everything looks in like okay-ish condition, but while I have it out, I might as well just replace it anyways because it's just one less thing they're gonna have to do later on. I am gonna go in the engine bay and clean all the grease and crap out. I'm gonna pull timing off the car today. But aside from that, I can't disassemble the heads yet. I need a special tool to hold the cams in place while I go and like take the cam gears off. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a disaster and that's not what we want. So we're not actually gonna be able to see what the issue is. I could pop off the valve cover after we get timing off just to see what's going on. But first, you know what, let's do that. Let's pull timing off of the motor first, and then we'll pop off this valve cover and see if there's anything like weird that might be standing out that could be causing our issue in there. Sometimes I kind of feel like an idiot. The ticking was totally normal. The motor's just fine. The motor's healthy. You wouldn't believe what I just found. This is a roller coaster of emotion. It would explain why the car ran so poorly when I put the OTS tune on there. This car needs to go to a dyno, like as soon as possible. You remember when I said this might be a built motor? It's confirmed. So let me pull this up on my phone real quick. You don't need to know my password. So on my phone is a set of Brian Crower Stage 2 272 cams. The part number for those is BC0621. They're $750 cams. Well, when I pulled the valve cover off right here, I was looking at these cams. I was like, those aren't normal cams. And then I looked at the head bolts and I was like, those aren't head bolts, those are head studs. First of all, we have ARP 2000 head studs in here. Second of all, we have Stage 2 cams. These are Brian Crower Stage 2 272 cams. What is happening? And then I came over here to further confirm, because if you look at this picture, we've got blue cams and yellow cams. Here's the blue stripe right there. It's a little bit worn off, but we do have blue stripes on those cams. Then if you come over here, oh, no way, there's the yellow stripe right there. No wonder the car was running like crap. It's a cammed engine with an OTS tune on it. Oh my God, that explains so much. So the ticking, probably totally normal at this point, because if it does have cams, head bolt or head studs, I'm guessing the entire valve train is done, probably with GSC, so that's what we were more than likely hearing was the valve train clicking, because it's not OEM. None of this is OEM anymore. Why couldn't I get a build sheet? This is, the motor's already out of the car at this point, so I'm gonna obviously do some more work to it while it's out. I already tossed the clutch, so we already need a clutch for the car. I'm gonna pop the oil pan back off the car to see if I can look down into the motor a little bit better and see what rods and pistons it has. Because there's no way those rods and pistons in there are OEM if we have Stage 2 cams. There's just no way. I don't even know where to begin with this. Oh my gosh. Maybe it's just a rebuilt OEM short. I don't know. Let's get the oil pan off. I need to see up in there and see what the hell is going on. You guys, I am actually like so confused. We have 272 cams in the car, ARP 2000 head studs, but the rods and pistons look OEM. They look like OEM rods and pistons. What is, I don't understand. Who built this? Who does this? What is this? I genuinely just don't get it. I don't get it. It's got a nitrated crank, so it's a newer crank. I'm just so confused right now. Like, I genuinely don't understand what this abomination is. Like, when I saw the cams, I was expecting, I was like, all right, maybe, just maybe, I missed the rods and the pistons and they looked OEM, but now after pulling the pan off, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. I'm gonna do some further investigation. I'm gonna pull out one of the spark plugs, look through the cylinder head and see what I can see on the piston. You guys, I'm going to give you the rundown on this, of what we found, what we've decided to do, and what the plan of action is for this, because a lot of you guys are saying, hey, just take it all the way apart, build it. Like I said, I don't have the budget to build the bottom end of this motor right now. If it is good, we're rolling with it. That car is the priority for modification for big power. This one, daily driver status with some fun power. But cams, so it does have Brian Crower 272 stage 2 cams. It does have ARP 2000 head studs. It does have a built valve train, so it's gonna be valves, retainers, springs, all that good stuff. We can see it down through the ports. As for the bottom end of this motor, I am not going to take this apart. I am not going to pull the heads off of this. The bottom end of the motor appears to be OEM. I have a stock rod and piston right there that I've been comparing over to this setup. They're stock rods, stock pistons. From what we can tell, they could be type RA, they could be just standard 257. Regardless, Matt and I found the ticking noise of what we were hearing, and it's just the built valve train. There's nothing to actually worry about. This may have been a little excessive to pull the entire motor out of the car, but better safe than sorry, I guess, in my opinion. Now, the car is obviously going to need a tune. So this thing is going to go to the dyno. It is going to get tuned. I already called Surgeline Tuning. I have a tuning date set up. Unfortunately, they're booked out until February. So we are gonna do some modifications to this motor. I just don't quite know what yet. Maybe we'll do an FP Blue or a Cobb 20G on here. Maybe we'll do some injectors, convert it from side feed to top feed. There's a lot of stuff we can do with this and have a lot of fun with this car. I know you guys want me to build the bottom end, shoot for a ton of power with this thing, but I don't know. If I could find used fun parts, we'll definitely throw them on the car. If I somehow come into a small fortune or something like that, maybe we'll build the bottom end. But for now, this is the game plan. This is what we're rocking with. It'll be fine. All right, you guys, so like I said, this is what we're rolling with. I know you guys want to see the bottom end built. Like I said, it's not in the budget right now. I just spent a little under 10 grand on that car's motor. I don't have another 4,000, 4,500 to throw at another bottom end for this car. So we're gonna reassemble it. We're gonna get it put back in the car. We're gonna get a base tune of some sort. I obviously can't drive the car even once the motor's back in there just because it has 272 cams in it. Like, that explains so much as to why the car was running crappy. I'm guessing the old owner had an access port on the car. I'm guessing he had a tune on it. When he sold the car, he pulled the access port with it. He just put the stock tune back on it, and that's probably why it was running pretty rough and pretty bad. So, and to address this also, everyone was asking about the ticking noise and why the ticking noise randomly showed up after I started doing things. The ticking noise was there prior. You can go back to the very first video I uploaded to the car where the ticking noise was prevalent, but we thought it was the AC compressor because there were so many exhaust leaks masking the noise that it didn't sound as loud as it actually did. But it's just a valve train, so it's nothing to worry about. The motor's fine, the motor's healthy. We're gonna get it put back in the car. Like I said, if I can get some like secondhand used parts like a turbo, maybe like a conversion from side feed to top feed, we'll definitely throw it on the car. But for the time being, I guess it's gonna be on jack stands for a little while because this cam situation threw a whole wrench into the mix of things. So before I end the video, I am gonna get the oil pan back on the car. So we'll just time lapse through me getting the oil pan back on the car. We'll clean up our mess and then we'll end the video. All right, you guys, so that is where we're gonna end it on this one. I am absolutely filthy. I need to go take a shower for one. It looked like I have a black eye right there. It's just grease, but motor's out of the car. It feels good to know that the motor is all right, it's all good. Matt and I took a look inside of the oil pan. We started playing with the rods and the pistons a little bit just to see how much movement we could get out of them. Everything is like nice and tight. This is just a really weird motor build that I've never seen a motor build like this before, where they only build the heads and the bottom end of stock, or looks to be stock, so I have no idea. So in the upcoming videos, we are going to be doing some modifications to this car. I have decided that maybe we will use I don't know what we're doing quite yet. Somebody just came outside. Who could it be? It's Melanie. Like I said, we're not going to be building the bottom end of the car, guys. I don't even know if it is built or not. It looks to be OEM, like I was saying, but it's not in the budget. I know a lot of you guys want me to tear it apart, do forged internals for the rods and the pistons, but like I said, it's just not in the budget to do it right now. But we'll see what else we can get done to the old blob eye over here. But very big find to see that we have Brian Crower 272 cams in the car, ARP 2000 head studs and all this other good stuff. But we'll see what happens next. So we have a lot of other good blob eye stuff coming up here shortly. I don't even know. There's a ton of it. I don't even know where to start. So we'll see. I don't even know what the next video is going to be. It'll be a surprise. So if you guys like the video, if you guys are excited that we have a semi-built engine over there, go ahead and hit that like button and turn it blue like the seats in the Subaru, or gray for those who have like the weird YouTube update and it turns gray for you guys. I don't know why. But if you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, also hit your boy up one of these corners. No idea which one I'll put it in quite yet. But with that, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies.